I'm Haley Jorgensen, and I'm going to talk about my journey through education, specifically focusing on what I've learned throughout the ECS 203 Curriculum and Pedagogy course. Before the course, I thought the curriculum was simply a binder of outcomes created by the government and teachers that I had to teach my students. And while this is somewhat the case, I've learned that there is so much more to it. I've learned that the curriculum is full of bias and doesn't consider the perspectives of non-dominant groups. While writing our second assignment, I felt that the front matter of the curriculum did a good job of including diverse perspectives, as it went into depth on respecting other cultures and even included a section on being considerate about those with disabilities. However, the next week, our lecture talked about the discrimination towards those in the LGBTQ community and how the only mention is the word homosexual when discussing HIV/AIDS in the health curriculum. I was disappointed that the Saskatchewan curriculum was so outdated, but more disappointed in myself for not being able to recognize all of the groups that I need to for when I enter the classroom. And this is definitely something I want to work harder on in the future. I was also shocked to learn that even though teachers are the ones teaching the content, we actually have the least amount of representatives on the board discussing curriculum. However, teachers do get a say in how they will teach. Prior to this class, I hadn't heard of the term pedagogy before, but looking back on my schooling, I can see the different pedagogical practices that my teachers had. Most of my education was focused on curriculum as a product and was primarily or even solely test-based. When I was a child, I loved to play school, and it was clear that my teaching approach relied on my students, aka my sister, listening to me and working through guided workbooks, meaning I had a very product-based view of education. Because I was teaching this way at such a young age, I was about 9, it's very clear that this way of teaching was all I had experienced up to that point. When I entered high school, again, most of my classes were teacher-centered and product-based, but I did have one teacher who loved to teach by having discussions with the class rather than lectures, meaning it was a bit more process-based. After taking the course, I now understand that I need to be more critical of the curriculum and use it as a guide of what I will teach. So add in those whose voices aren't adequately heard and look deeper into the issues as to why that is the case. I want to provide my students with a meaningful and inclusive education. I am afraid, however, that as a teacher, I will rely too heavily on curriculum as a product, specifically in math, because that method was utilized throughout my entire math career. Tyler's rationale argues that efficiency is more important than creativity, which entails test-taking and following along with the mandated textbook. Again, very product-based. While this method suited me just fine in school, I learned that it may not suit others, and I'll probably have to change my planned pedagogy and utilize a more process and praxis-based approach, which did create some cognitive dissonance. To quote one of my blog postings, "To work the most efficiently is to erase any opportunity to think and engage critically with the material, and I will keep this in mind when I enter my own classroom." Another place of growth I had because of the class was learning about treaty education. In high school, it seemed many of my teachers felt they could cover all of the treaty outcomes within one day of the year, Orange Shirt Day. Maybe they felt it was optional, but I've learned that treaty education is meant to be taught all year round. Our third assignment helped me to discover that teaching treaty education can be done in fun ways and can be implemented into most, if not all, subjects. I valued doing this assignment with partners, as it gave me insight into the teaching and assessment approaches of my colleagues, and gave me more experience with making lesson and unit plans. It also brought to light that teachers need to be culturally aware of what is and what is not okay, and looking over the accuracy of resources you will be using is very important. Thanks to this class, I am much more informed on what curriculum is, what it consists of, and what I need to do to improve upon it in my classroom. I understand that there are other and arguably better ways of teaching than what I had previously planned. And I realize the importance of having a curriculum that is inclusive and representative, and I cannot wait to implement my newfound knowledge in the field.